going. Maybe you can catch part of your. Okay, it is 5 p.m. on August 27th, 2026. We do have a properly posted agenda and we have a quorum. At this time, we will be moving to closed session with 2B pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072, real property to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease of real property in an open meeting with a detrimental effect on the board's position in negotiations with a third person. 2C pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including superintendent or board member, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. And then 2D, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.076, security devices or security audits to deliberate the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or device or a security audit. At this time, at 5:01, we are adjourned to closed session. Okay, we are back in open session at 6:02 on August 27th. Moving on to item number 4, public forum. We don't have anyone signed up, so we will move on to item number 5, our presentation. First off is 5A, the submission of the no new revenue. Where'd he go? Good gosh almighty. Head down, we don't need him. That's all right, I'll just keep reading. Submission of the no new revenue tax rate, voter approval tax rate, and rate to maintain same level of maintenance and operations revenue and paid debt service. Mr. Mazinski, you're up to bat.
This is an information item only. There's a number of tax rates that are calculated to determine how you do your tax ordinance. The ones we're going to talk about now are the no new tax rate and the voter approval tax rate. This is something we publish in the paper, and it shows where we're going to adopt. And in the middle it says the rate to maintain. You'll see we're adopting in all cases the rate to maintain less than that. Now, the no new revenue is what it would take to run your operations exactly the same as last year. Simplest said, the easiest way to understand it is if your property value doubled, your tax rate would get cut in half. And that's all what it is. It's just that's all. It's a teeter-totter. It goes up and down. Nothing, you know. The issues for schools is we have state funding. That state funding ebbs in and out of our doing. It doesn't consider, all it considers is a tax rate. It doesn't consider the bond issue that was passed. It just says, here's the exact amount of money, okay? So in almost all cases, we're going to find out that we're going to adopt a rate higher than the no new revenue rate. I mean, if you pass a bond issue, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's mathematically. But for some organizations in Texas, this is very effective when they don't have external funding, state funding that comes in and out. It is a good, very good method for the taxpayers to see how some organizations, whether they raise taxes or not. However, we still need to follow the code, whether it directly applies or not. And see, we will adopt recommend a 0.9188, which is slightly over that. That bond issue alone pushed that up. So what causes that is then during the motion, it has to say, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.9188, which is effectively a 4.6% increase in the tax rate. What that does, it just tells you that the reason I have to introduce those, that verifies how you will adopt the motion. Had you been perfectly where nothing increased, you wouldn't have to do that. So for most of us, we did this last year, just different numbers. Now, the voter approval rate, which is also the proposed rate, that is, we'll be introducing 0.6131, same as last year. That's the one TEA tells you. 5 cents, tier 2 pennies. Tier 2 pennies are additional pennies that you levy and have been levying, and they bring you a couple $1 million, because if you do effort, the state gives you some effort. So that's why they let you have 5 pennies. If they want more funding to go to schools, all they'd have to do is say you can take 6 pennies, and then that another penny would give some local money. So they can actually control the system pretty well by then. If a board were to adopt a rate higher than the rate to maintain, our rate to maintain is 96 cents. We're going to adopt 91.892. We have in the past adopted a rate that was higher than that. You have to have a supermajority, and so 60%. And so 7 times 6 is 42. That means you have to have 5 people. I never worry about getting 5 votes. I worry about, a board member having a baseball game or whatever, football or something, and, a couple board members have out of town working. That always scares me, but it doesn't apply this year. Okay, that is you. I have introduced the rates due. That is the legal obligation. Done that.
Thanks, Gary. So then now we're going to move on to item number 6, again with Gary, for the public hearing regarding the 2026-2027 budget and tax rate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll go through this fairly quickly. This is our budget and tax hearing. Those are our 3 funds we'll adopt tonight: the general fund, the food service, and the debt service. The tax rate that we'll need to do that will increase 2.2 cents. We anticipated that. Well, we knew it's quite a buy to get a $137 million building for 2.2 cents. You don't see that very often. Proud of this community for that having such a low increase to be able to have such a big lever there. Our certified values only went up about 1%. You can see the year before they went up 4%. You can see that it's the increase, the growth that was just exploding 3, 4, 5 years ago has decreased quite a bit. These are our certified values that we report to TEA, and the maximum compressed rate is on the right-hand side. I chart these to show you this chart. What will happen is, as a district's property value increases, you see with that green line, you see the blue line, how its maximum compressed rate then decreases. The system across the state, it works pretty well. That's what it's meant to do, is give taxpayers relief as property values go up. It's supposed to push the ISD's district down. And you see that clearly, that law that was passed worked pretty well. If we look at the general fund, we see overall the general fund has increased about $293,000. That's pretty good, because we had salary increases that we put in there. And of course, we had the medical issue that never seemed to stop. But it's a very good general fund budget that we had. We are curtailing some of that. Considering what we had to put into it, we are really curtailing some of those expenses. I'll try to show you where we actually are later. Food service would decrease. We added a few pennies. We gave a few pennies for Shelley to increase their lunch thing. So hopefully that'll help us out. That fund's gonna should be okay. She's doing a good job in it, but we still need to watch it. Debt service. The debt service is we're going to chunk off. We're going to use about $700,000 fund balance. We did that intentionally. We've got some fund balance that left. We want to try to keep the tax rate until property values start to increase. We want to try to keep it at around 2-3 cents, like we told the voters we would. So we're going to use fund balance. We're going to try to kind of maintain the faithfulness that we talked about. These are what we did for in the way of salaries in the budget. We basically the teachers got their step level, so those are anywhere from a little bit to what was that 88, 200, something like that. Whatever, if you were in those big steps, you got those huge raises depending on it, and then if you moved. Then the other employees basically got 500. Bus drivers who have a little relaxed or a little less hours got 400. And then I want to make it real clear to you, because it is in the book that this includes longevity. If you want to pull it, then we can pull it. You just say, let's just do it without longevity. It's $226,000. I do feel like we are approaching next year. Probably it may be best to pull that out, because when you start looking at the reduction of staff and stuff until children come. You got to weigh that. But right now it's in there, and it's like I say, that's up to you. In the end, you can pull that out. You can leave it in there. It's up to, but I always put it in there because we had not discussed pulling it out. And I also think if you're on the lower end of the scale, that's a scale where that's a program like if you've been here a long time, you're a food service worker, you can make I think like $1,000 for that longevity to stay with us. You make the same as a superintendent would make. Superintendent been here for 20 years. Food, it is really a kind of a good, in my opinion, a reward for staying. The reconciliation of revenue, he's trying to reconcile the budget to before. Even though property value is up a little bit, the way I calculated, tax collections are down just a little bit. And then we had some little increases in other things like rent or like admissions or interest rate, that kind of stuff. Then we had a small amount in the state funding increased. And then a small amount of federal revenue, which is very unpredictable. And we see that brings us back to our numbers of 41,780. On the expense side, we started out last year was 43,000. We increased our labor a little bit. Again, part of that labor was actually an increase that happened last year that flowed into this year. And then we had medical we put into it, and those salary increases. I think we saw, and I don't know if I have this another slide there. I think what we saw is all of us starting to curtail some expenditures. I was given very, very good direction about how to do salaries from the board, and I'm very happy that it's always tough. Those are tough decisions to make, but I've seen this board. I think as a group we're being conservative and moving the direction we have to do. On that contracted services, that's down a couple $100,000. That's just going to be the security area that the changes that we had there. Salary, the supplies are 131. That's just going to be a spattering of stuff throughout, and some stuff I just tried to consolidate and move. There's anything special in there. Your 288,000 in your other operating. That's going to be the insurance went from about 900,000 down to about 450, 500,000. So that's what that's going to be, and then a little bit of debt change there. And we didn't budget yet, but I think we probably will. Some capital expenditures, which brings us to where we are today. So we see that we're at 43. 295, a very, very small increase from the prior year. Well, I won't dwell on the financial integrity and rating system of Texas were released, and based on what we did, and that was we did get a superior achievement. I won't spend time on that. We'll spend time in the fall. We have to have a hearing over that. If you look at your general fund, not news to a lot of people, but you see the local, we pay about 2/3. The state pays a lot of third. And the federal government, for as much as you would hear that they talk about, a program, and we do get, $1 million of federal revenue, but you would think that they're the major contributors to schools. In reality is they don't really contribute that much. When we look at our expenditures by object code, you see the big expenditures are salaries. And then it goes right on down. But we are a people-intensive business. When we look at the functions as we spend, you see the number one function we spend money on is instruction, and you would expect that. And then you see the number two is maintenance, and that's all your air. We don't just fix stuff. That's all your air conditioning. That stuff is your air conditioning. That's extremely expensive. All your insurance and stuff. So a lot of stuff gets piled in the maintenance. So it's much more. It's custodian. It's a lot of stuff that, I mean, people say put money in the classroom. I think that the kids would like to see the air conditioning on versus being in a classroom 110 degrees. I think they'd like to see that money put into air conditioning. I want to talk about what the board does with the budget, because a lot of times say, well, what does the board do with the budget? The board works on the budget almost every single time they meet. It doesn't appear that they do, because they say, well, what line item? But overall, this board produced about $200,000 with the direction of savings that they did. They didn't come to my office and sit and go through line items and say, let's cut here, let's cut there. But by the direction that they gave me as they developed the budget, that's about how much that we saved. As a board, you could, every time you hire somebody, if you add a position, you're affecting the budget. You may not sit down and say, oh, we're going to add a line item or something. What I'm saying is actually the board has a massive responsibility. The budget is adopted. But it's not like frozen in time. That budget can be reduced or increased at any time during the year. So it's a very fluid instrument. The 6,200 to 6,600, the non-salaries, I got direction from which way to go with the salaries. There is nothing really that has changed since our July workshop. Those were done. They had to be done at that time because there's too much other stuff. We did put Parent Square in there, but Parent Square is on the agenda, or has been on the agenda separately, so that shouldn't be news to anybody. Other than that, there may have been a couple of moves just to balance an account or something, but that was considerably done. Again, I want to say that as we go through, people say, will you work on the budget? Yeah, because you amend it continuously, so you can change at any time to affect the budget. In fact, you have more authority to do it much more than the administration, because we do exactly what you do. How you do competitive procurement, whether you approve purchases over $25,000, those are all budgetary items, and so I would say that the board is very, very involved in the budget. They might not have been in my office today going through me when I was wrapping it up, but I will tell you the production of it is based on things that as you do, as decisions you make as board members. We're not intended to see that. It's been in the agenda and everything, but that's the budget. It's that function, that budget that you'll appear. That's got a stack of them outside for the people in the audience. At this point, Mr. President, we open the budget up to public comment if there is any.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? I know we've gone over this many, many times, and some of the stuff you can probably know it by heart, but this is an opportunity to make any statement if anybody wants to, or ask Mr. Mazinski any questions. And if not,
I was just
Go
going to
ahead.
say, I want to tell you how much I appreciate from coming on to this board very quickly and the thoroughness from our budget workshop in July. And I felt like I was very familiar with everything, and I really appreciate the work you guys have done. I know the short time I've been on here, there's been a lot done, and really appreciate that.
Thank you, and I won't dwell on it, but I have seen not necessarily in Decatur, but I have seen a point where one board member, superintendent, told another, well, that was sent to you and stuff, and our goal is to be able to walk in we know that you are busy and that you can't go, the package amount of information that as board members you get between TASB and all the junk, but our goal, Ms. Williams and I, is to make sure that at the meeting we explain it enough so that you can make decisions, and that because technically we shouldn't be making decisions outside of the boardroom anyways. So thank you, Megan.
anyway, thank you, Gary. Appreciate all your hard work, and it's nice to have you here as long as you've been here. All right, we'll move on to action item 7A, consider and take possible action regarding the district improvement plan. This is the 2025-2026 update. Dr. Weber is fast approaching.
I think he left it on. Good evening, everyone. This is just an update, and I know you're looking at the date for the 25-26 improvement plan, and I'll allow Ms. Williams to correct me if I misspeak, but the safety audit findings that we recently received required some specific language in the district improvement plan, namely regarding our use of grief-informed and trauma-informed practices. Those are things that we, in 25-26, were actively working towards, namely youth mental health and first aid training that we would register and train staff with a local organization. It was an 8-hour training that you must retain the certificate for, and it was in grief and in trauma-informed practices. So this was just language to comply with the findings of the audit. And if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Weber. No one has any questions or discussion? I open this for a motion.
I recommend the board accept the updated language in the district improvement plan.
I have a motion from Mr. Snyder. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Hood. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7B, consider and take possible action regarding the McCarroll Middle School network upgrade with blended learning grant funds.
Do you want to?
Yeah, Todd, get up here and present to us.
There we go. Okay. Good afternoon. So what we are doing is we are doing a lift on the existing equipment at McCarroll Middle School. The equipment here is circa 2016. So we're looking to purchase 63 new access points to bring them up to current standards. This would allow for Wi-Fi 7 in the area. Now, granted, the equipment that's there today won't support Wi-Fi 7, but that will give them bandwidth and motion to be able to do better than what they have right now. We've been managing and adjusting the network as we go along. We had a evaluation this summer, showed some fixes that need to be done, so we made those, and this is the next logical step. So
Maybe a dumb question, but can you take any of this with us when we
Yes.
move?
that is the intent. So that was part of our goal. Yeah. So our goal is, I believe it's 63 access points, and the plan is to take them down and move them to the new building when they arrive, and stabilize it across the entire district. And it gives us options to free up some of the licenses for what we have to move them elsewhere to help in those locations as well. So it's a twofold positive for us.
Is 100% of this covered by a grant, or is
Yes.
it's fully funded? by
Yes,
grant?
sir.
That's what I was.
I love those.
Grant money.
Those are the
Yeah.
improvements I like.
Absolutely.
So it's the blended learning grant,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
say it again.
I just
that
want to
Tara
make sure
presented
that,
on last
that-
meeting.
Yes.
I want to make sure the messenger hears that. so.
I'm very proud. The money,
all grant
the money
money.
was great, and we were able to negotiate the pricing so well that we tremendous discounts. We were able to pull off some really good pricing. So,
Great, okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
And just one thing too, Tara and Todd both, there was an audit done that basically looked at our systems, and they used that as a guide for the recommendations in the grant. And that was also a TEA, I guess, mandated, really. We had to do some form of audit to show that to implement the blended learning grant, that our system could actually support it. So it wasn't just what we thought. They used audits to, and yeah, metrics and all the things that are technology that I don't know about, to actually guide their decision. So
Excellent. Any questions or discussion? If not, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend we approve the wireless upgrades at McCarroll Middle School.
I have a motion from Dr. Joyner. Do I have a second? I have a second from Chief Campbell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7C, consider and take possible action regarding the CTE 15-passenger van. Who wants to tackle that?
I
Jump in
can.
there.
So yeah, we have run this in the paper twice now, and taken bids, and Debbie has worked for that and Gary as well. But this is for CTE, and this was a request. Debbie's done multiple CTE needs assessments, and this was one of the things that came up from multiple CTE teachers, the need for something that's not a bus, but also a little bit bigger than a Suburban to transport kids, to prevent us needing to take 2 or 3 Suburbans. We can just take one van. This is also fully funded through, the CTE funds that we came up with during the CTE audit.
Got it.
Are those the funds that have to be spent by a certain,
We do have some deadlines, yes,
What
that
is
need
that
to
deadline?
be, some of them are this fiscal year, which is why, yeah, and some of those roll over as well. But Debbie and Gary have been watching that month by month very closely.
how close are we to that deadline and reaching a goal? Just out of curiosity.
We're good, yeah. We'll be there on Monday,
That close.
yes.
So we figured that percentage, not below that percentage, so, we're good, and the things that, there's a few things I have been that will be speaking of, and, well, by the time we get our food rest, I think the food rest will be the last thing that comes in. Because those payments are in like, 3 installments, so the food rest will be one of the last things to come.
Sandy, what happens with those funds? You're allocated, just like special ed, give your town businesses, your technology that Wednesday and spend. You have to be spent, they give you 3 years, although very strong intention is to get them spent in one, but they look at a continued 3-year spending. And so what's not spent this year, we'll look at the tally, maybe in a couple of weeks, and either in September or November, December last year, we will bring that balance that is unspent as an amendment, because, and with that does lower the current fund balance because it's unspent, but it has to be, it does spend, so.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion on 7C.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the purchase of the 15-passenger van for the CTE department.
Have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Hood. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7D, consider and take possible action regarding the Defender program.
Just the updates that y'all, that's executive session, but
Yeah.
the updates to the
Is-
Defender program.
Yeah, which we're discussing in executive session. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
The updates
Wh-
for, yeah.
We have to, approve the updates. So we'll entertain a motion on 7D.
Mr. President, I recommend that the board approve the changes to the Defender program as discussed in executive session.
Have a motion from Dr. Joyner. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Schneider. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7E, consider and take possible action regarding campus process and procedures for registered sex offenders on district property. This is also part of the DBA. And Ms. Weber. Dr.
Yes,
Weber,
so
excuse
this is also part of the vulnerability assessment. We obviously have a policy on file for addressing this, but these are just the procedures that we would expect campus administrators to follow with known registered sex offenders. A few of the highlights is this applies to parents who are, or legal guardians of our students who may be registered sex offenders. And they are expected to comply with all of the requirements. Namely, they would set up a meeting before their visit. They would report immediately to the front office where we would submit their license through Raptor, and any alerts would come up on the screen. They would be escorted by a school employee the entire time, and that would be the function of that employee. And I think that's the part of having the meeting, is so that it's not awkward later, so that they understand the point of keeping everyone safe. They would not have access to any classroom where their child was not. And so we thought of things like holiday parties, end of year events. We want to honor the rights of parents, but also keep everyone safe. And then they would be escorted all the way back to their vehicle. And then after hours, we discussed what are the options for a campus administrator. They could deny entry, regulate access, or keep the visitor under constant supervision. Things like open house, games, and things of that nature. So if anyone has any questions.
So is that employee that escorts them, is that always going to be a principal or assistant principal, or could it be someone else?
It doesn't necessarily have to be an administrator, because we wanted to allow for that flexibility, but that the idea was that it was a district employee, that they were dedicated solely for the supervision of the person. So it's not someone who was already on a duty. So we thought about lunch. If we have a paraprofessional watching a lunchroom of children, their duty is to watch the children, that they would need to assign someone else. I will say, as a principal of many years, I took that responsibility incredibly seriously, and so I didn't delegate that. We discussed this briefly in our last principals PLC, and then once you vote, whatever decision is made, then that's something we would update the principals on what's expected and what would be the best practice.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions or discussion on that? If not, I will entertain a motion on 7E.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the process and procedures campus administration will follow regards to register sex offenders on the district property.
Have a motion from Mrs. Alvarez. Do I have a second? I have a second from Chief Campbell. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7F, consider and take possible action regarding the 3-year district vulnerability audit. Again, we talked about that in the safety security, but anything you want to add, Ms.
This
Williams?
is just the DVA, which, yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, the district vulnerability audit, where someone from a third party goes to every single campus and facility that the district owns and essentially looks for areas that we would need to improve from a safety standpoint. They check doors, they check locks, they look at fencing, they try to get into the buildings, they look for weak points that may be part of our safety plan, and so they give a report back on every single campus and facility in the district. That's obviously, yes, discussed in executive session, and then also amongst our senior leadership team. We will meet individually with each principal about the findings on their specific campus, but this is done every 3 years, and the report is obviously given to the board, and then we take action through that with each campus and look at, priorities from there.
Okay, good. Any questions for Ms. Williams or Chief Campbell or whoever else? If not, I will entertain a motion on 7F.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the 3-year audit report from Region 11.
Have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Dr. Joyner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7G, consider and take possible action regarding to confirm the appointment of officer for the tax calculations resolution. This is done every year. I know it's for our tax collector, Mr. Monty Shaw.
Just put my program. My program.
Okay, it's part of the same. My apologies.
Go back to the same slide where you left off.
Yes, sir. Let me just resume.
That's good right there. That's fine. Yes.
Resume that.
That's where we left.
There you go.
We just need to, every so often, it's probably done 10 years ago, just confirm that Monty Hall is the one that you appoint to do your tax calculations, that's all. Monty Shaw. Monty.
Let's make a deal, Gary. That's all right. We knew who you meant. We're just having some fun up here. You got to have some fun every once in a while. Okay, any questions for Mr. Mazinski on this? If not, I will entertain a motion on 7G.
I recommend the board approve the resolution to confirm Monty Shaw as the individual auditor to petition tax calculations for tax year 2026 and beyond until rescinded.
Have a motion from Ms. Schneider. Do I have a second? Second, I'm going to give that to Ms. Hood. Yeah, it was a tie, but second from Ms. Hood. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, Gary, you stay up there because we got you for the next couple. 7H, consider and take possible action regarding adopting the 2026-2027 budget that you just went through.
And there are no questions. I would just ask the budget be approved. If you have questions, happy to help out.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, then I will entertain a motion on 7H.
Mr. President,
Did you have a question?
there's no specific
just-
on this
we're just
one.
recommending
It's the
to
next
approve
one, I
this.
think.
Recommend the board be
Yeah.
approve the 26-27 budget as presented.
Yes.
Are you making a motion, Gary?
I
It
recommend-
sounded so good, I hate to have anybody else to do it.
Monty Hall made it.
Monty Hall. All right.
I recommend the board approve the 2026, 2027 budget.
I have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? Have a second from Ms. Alvarez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. 7I, which is consider and take possible action to approve the 2026 tax rate and tax rate resolution that we also just went through with Mr. Mazinski.
Yeah, yes, sir. Again, you have the resolution in front of you to adopt the tax rate, but we do need to word this the way that it is on the agenda, and meaning the exact language, and and then we add, and the board approve the attached resolution. So someone just needs to read.
Yeah, so for somebody,
That's not enough. You'll need to kind
Yeah.
of read it on the item, because I didn't add in and the attached resolution. So,
yeah, so if you go into the document there, that's where the template is, the motion is. No.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.9188 cents. Is that right? Which is
Yes.
effectively a 4.36% increase in the tax rate, and further move that the board approve the attached resolution.
Good job, Ms. Schneider. So I have a motion from Ms. Schneider. Do we have a second?
Second?
I have a second from Dr. Joyner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. All right, we are
just
moving.
we clarify, know that she meant $0.9188. And
We go-
yeah,
Okay,
that's all right.
You want me to read it again?
okay, let's do it again then. That's okay. I bragged on you too soon.
Yeah, don't add cents or dollars. Just go ahead and read it.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.9188, which is effectively a 4.36% increase in the tax rate, and further move that the board approve the attached resolution.
Thank you.
I have a motion from Ms. Schneider. Do I have a
You're welcome.
second?
Second.
Second from Dr. Joyner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes once again 6-0. Okay. No, you did. I didn't want to do it. 7J, consider and take possible action regarding the year-end budget amendments. This is just delegating authority to Ms., is that right? Ms. Williams, am I reading that? The administration, yes.
We got a slew of amendments there. So here's we got a couple of things, small things that we needed to do. But at the end of the budget looks really good, by the way. We don't have anything overspent. But at the end of the year, I look at each function and say I'd like 3% or 6%, depending on how big it is. And basically, you're just putting a number out there in case an auditor were to reverse something. It's always pretty huge, it can be severing, but during the year, if you amend the budget for $5,000, that's going to get spent. This just goes, it increases the line item. Now, if someone were to spend it, I'd probably ought to fire them because that'd be out of line. But it just amends the budget, gives a little room. If the auditor says, you know, that counselor did 50% teaching, we need to maybe move them to 11. So, and then there's some other things in there. Really, there is Medicare Part D. That's an entry that you match, you have to recognize it as revenue, and then you recognize this expenditure has no effect on fund balance, but I have to put it in there when you close the budget. The number comes from TRS. If you don't do this amendment with the board like I did last year, you're putting all this money, you are expanding the expenditure side of the budget, even though you are going to expand the revenue side. But if you don't get permission, it could blow your budget out. So that's the Medicare Part B. And then this is the second time we've already talked about it. I still don't have all the data from the bond sale. They put it all they'll put it all together in a big book, all the stuff that you signed and everything, that you sent it to me. But I use that to do the entries for the bond issue. There's certain entries about other resources, other uses and stuff, that this just gives me permission to do those. It also lets you, if I get tight, I can move money between funds without actually increasing them. And then the Medicare Part D. So I think that is pretty much, and then I did have a code correction on the 34. I left the 34 off when I allocated the bond funds. That's a transportation fund. I did read where it said that I could make adjustments within the fund, but I would like technically to get your approval at that 34 to open that $4 million up for transportation, even though we had to pay for 5 buses because the guy was getting antsy. But that's just a technical correction. So.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Mazinski on that item? Discussion? Okay, then I will open up for 7J for a motion.
Mr. President, I recommend the board approve the year-end budget amendment and delegate to the administration to be able to transfer up to $150,000 between functions as needed to account for any potential audit or other adjustments as the funds are closed, and to budget in each function based on 6119 and 6129, professional support or any other administratively convenient allocation for any Medicare Part D entries, including offsetting revenue.
I have a motion from Chief Campbell. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Schneider. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. And our last action item is 7K, consideration for the employee medical insurance contribution. You going to take that one, Mr. Mazinski?
Yeah.
I know you love talking about this.
Because the gift that keeps on giving. I was sitting, in my office alone on a Friday when everyone was gone, with no one to complain to, and we got the information that said, and they're all the people proposed this, because when they propose the rates, how much money they're going to make, how much they think that you're going to pay, all that kind of stuff. We had the increase caused some members to back out. So we dropped more than the allowable amount. So they said, so you have 2 choices, not have insurance, and I didn't think that was probably a very good one. And then they increased their rates where they thought they could make money, and I was surprised it was just 10%. But for the most part, that's a straight across the board. But we don't. Some of those plans, which are like $3,000, at 10%, it's $300. But you have very few people on those plans. The goal is, you've got the rates there that I'd like to approve, and the gist of it is the employee portion stays the same. We picked up the difference in the employee portion, and I'll make sure that this is for 2026, 27. We're going to have to handle each year differently in the future, okay? So if somebody can look and say, oh, wow, they paid 800, we're gonna join that plan next year. But that plan may not be there next year. This is for this year only to get us by. The downside is, or the upside is, we budgeted the amount that went up was much less than the money we had budgeted for the people that dropped, and it should give us some additional funding for the year. I will tell you on a personal note, when I first got into this plan, I'm like, this is the best we can do, but the more I look at it, it's just a different way of doing business, and we are seeing people come back, because 10 years ago, your maximum out of pocket, $800, $900,000, and even then, but today they're all $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. We are a victim of increasing medical costs. And we have had people come back because you can have a plan about for some of these people in the introductory steps. There's like $150 a month, and it's not well, it's not affordable. It's not unaffordable. What I'm saying is, it's not. There are other schools until this year that would have paid less, that would have been paying pretty much what we paid as well. So this is one of those things that we're doing the best we can. And basically, I've dealt with it so much that the motion is to adopt this schedule, and if Ms. Williams needs to fix it to, if some other snake comes up, then you give her authority to do that, because this should be it.
Okay. I know, we've all wrestled with this issue. It's been, we're trying to make a little bit light of it, but it's not been fun. It's very serious, and I know how the impact on our employees, but, I just can't stress enough that we've done the best that we can in a very, very difficult situation, and it's a big boat. We're not the only ones in it, but it hit us pretty hard, so we try to minimize the impact as much as we possibly could. So under those conditions, 7K, I will entertain a motion.
And I just want to be clear on the motion. That would basically allow us, if, as the plans settle in, if there was any other altering of price, it would allow us to alter that so that whatever the employee signed up for on the day that they committed to using our benefits, that's what they're going to pay, and that the district would make up the difference.
And that's just the fair thing to do, that we can't do any kind of switch with our employees, so I think that's...
There's a pretty simple motion on top of the chart, and we want to do what Ms. Williams said, because, well, one is, if you opened it up, you just because we are having people come back and say, gosh, can I get it? And we said, legally, we're with the IRS. We had our time. We can't. We want to help you, but that's it. This is it. And so there's a simple motion on top of the chart, if someone wants to read that.
Open up for a motion.
I recommend we approve the Decatur ISD medical contributions to the revised plan as detailed below, and allow administrative modifications as needed to administer the plan to be in compliance with the Affordable Care Act.
Have a motion from Mr. Snyder. Do I have a second?
Second?
Have a second from Dr. Joyner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Moving to item number 8, adjournment. It is 6:50 p.m. As that time, we are adjourned.